When I was 9 years old, my parents trusted me enough to leave me home alone after school. Not all day, just a few hours. They both worked late on Fridays, and school ended early, so from about 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., I was by myself. We lived in a small, quiet house at the edge of a suburban neighborhood. Nothing fancy. 1 floor. No basement. Just a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and a short hallway connecting everything. Before my parents left each Friday, they went over the same rules every single time. Lock the doors. Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door for anyone. If anything feels wrong, hide and call 911. At that age, being home alone felt exciting. Like freedom. I'd watch cartoons, eat snacks I wasn't supposed to, and sit way too close to the TV. For the first few weeks, nothing happened, until one Friday in early fall. That afternoon felt normal. I came home from school, dropped my backpack in my room, and turned on the TV. The house was quiet in that comforting way only childhood homes are. Around 5:20 p.m., the doorbell rang. It was loud, sudden. It made me jump on the couch. No one ever came over unannounced, especially not on a Friday. I stayed still and didn't make a sound. A few seconds passed. Then the doorbell rang again. This time a little longer, like someone leaning on it. I muted the TV. Then I heard a man's voice from the other side of the door. "Hey buddy, it's me. I'm a friend of your dad." My heart started beating faster. I didn't recognize the voice. I stayed silent. Then he laughed softly, like he was trying to sound friendly. "Your parents asked me to stop by and check on you." I slowly slid off the couch and crouched behind it. My hands were shaking. Something felt wrong. Then the man said something that made my stomach drop. "I know your parents won't be home until around 8. I didn't know how he knew that. Only my parents knew their schedule. I held my breath. After that, there was silence. I thought maybe he had gone away. Then I heard footsteps, not walking away from the house, walking around it. Slow footsteps crunching against gravel. I crawled on my hands and knees toward the hallway and peeked into my parents' bedroom. Their room had a window facing the side of the house. That's when I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Fingernails tapping lightly against glass. I ran into their bedroom and locked the door. I hid inside their closet, crouched between coats and boxes, holding my breath so hard my chest hurt. From inside the closet, I could still hear it. The tapping. Then a voice. Soft, calm, patient. "I can hear you moving." I bit my hand to stop myself from crying. The tapping stopped. Then I heard footsteps again. This time, they moved away from the window and toward the front door. A few minutes later, the house phone rang. I froze. My parents told me never to answer it, but it kept ringing and ringing. Finally, the answering machine picked up. I heard my dad's recorded voice, followed by silence. Then the same man spoke. "You don't have to be scared. I just want to talk." I covered my ears. Then he said something that still makes me feel sick when I think about it. "I can see the hallway light from here." I hadn't turned the hallway light off. That meant he was still outside. Looking in. I stayed in that closet for what felt like hours. My legs went numb. My mouth felt dry. At some point, I heard the front door handle jiggle. Once, twice, then nothing. No footstep, no voice, no tapping. Complete silence. I didn't move until I heard my parents' car pull into the driveway. When my parents came inside, I ran out of the closet crying and told them everything. My dad grabbed a flashlight and checked the entire house. Nothing was broken. Nothing was unlocked. But outside my parents' bedroom window, in the dirt beneath it, There were footprints, large, adult-sized, standing there, facing the window. The police came, took pictures, and asked questions. They never found the man. But one officer said something quietly to my dad before leaving. He knew the house. He knew the schedule. This wasn't random. After that day, my parents never left me home alone again. We moved the following year. But even now, as an adult, there's one detail I can't stop thinking about. The man never tried to break in. He never forced the door. He never rushed. He waited, like he had time, like he knew exactly how long he had, and exactly where I was hiding. This happened when I was 7 years old, and even though I'm an adult now, I still remember every detail clearly. My mom almost never left me home alone. But one afternoon, she needed to run to the grocery store really quickly. She told me she'd be gone for no more than 30 minutes. She knelt in front of me before leaving and made me repeat the rules. Don't open the door. Don't answer the phone. If you hear anything strange, hide and call her. I promised I would. She left around 3:40 p.m. I remember checking the clock because I was watching my favorite cartoon and didn't want to miss it. The house felt normal at first. Safe. Familiar. That feeling didn't last long. About 10 minutes after my mom left, I heard her voice. Sweetie. It came from upstairs. I smiled automatically. I assumed she forgot something and came back. I stood up from the couch and walked toward the stairs. That's when something stopped me. I didn't hear the front door open. Our front door was loud. It always made a sound when it opened or closed. The house was completely silent. I stood at the bottom of the stairs and called out, Mom? Her voice answered immediately. Yes, honey. Come upstairs. The way she said it felt strange. My mom always used my name. Always. I didn't move. I remember my heart beating really fast, even though I didn't fully understand why. I stood there, staring up the staircase. The hallway light upstairs was off. It was darker than it should have been. I asked, Did you forget something? There was a pause. Then her voice came again. Lower. Slower. I just want to talk to you. That wasn't something my mom ever said from another room. If she wanted to talk, she came to me. I took a step backward. The air in the house felt different. Heavy. Like when a storm is about to start. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow footstep. Not rushing. Not running. Walking. I backed into the living room and stood behind the couch. Mom. I called again, my voice shaking. Her response came faster this time. Come here now. Her tone was sharp, angry. It didn't sound like my mom anymore. It sounded like someone trying to copy her, and failing. I started crying quietly. Then she said something that made my blood feel cold, even at 7 years old. Why are you hiding? I hadn't made a sound. I ran to the front door and locked it, even though it was already locked. Then I ran into the kitchen, crawled under the table, and pulled the chairs around me like a small fort. From under the table, I could hear movement upstairs. Drawers opening, closet doors sliding, slow footsteps moving from room to room. Whoever it was didn't sound angry. They sounded calm, like they were taking their time. Then the voice called out again. Closer now. I know you're scared. Your mom tells you to listen, right? Tears were running down my face, but I covered my mouth with my hands so I wouldn't make noise. Then came the worst part. The voice laughed. Not my mom's laugh. A low, quiet laugh. The footsteps stopped near the top of the stairs. Then I heard the bathroom door open. Our bathroom had a mirror that faced the hallway. I heard the sink turn on. Water running. Then the voice spoke again, but this time it sounded like it was talking to itself. She looks just like you. I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't want to. The water turned off. The footsteps started again. down the stairs. One step at a time. I crawled out from under the table and ran to my bedroom. I locked the door and climbed into my closet, pulling clothes over me and shutting the door as quietly as I could. I could hear my own breathing loud in my ears. Then I heard it, the handle on my bedroom door turning. Slowly. Once. Twice. Then the voice whispered through the door. "I can hear you breathing." I squeezed my eyes shut. Then the handle stopped moving. Footsteps walked away. I stayed in that closet, shaking for what felt like forever. Eventually, I heard the front door open. I heard my mom's real voice. "I'm home." I didn't come out at first. I was too scared. She found me crying in the closet and held me while I tried to explain everything between sobs. She went pale. She searched the entire house. Every room. Every closet. Under every bed. No one was there. Nothing was stolen. No doors were forced open. That night, after I finally calmed down, my mom tucked me into bed. She hugged me tightly and whispered something that still haunts me. "I never spoke to you from upstairs today." Then she paused. "And I never left my keys behind." The front door had been unlocked. To this day, I don't know how someone got inside. But I do know one thing. Whatever was in my house that day didn't want to hurt me right away. It wanted me to come upstairs. And sometimes, late at night, when I hear my name called from another room, I still don't answer. When I was 10 years old, my parents started letting me stay home alone for a short time after school. Not because they wanted to, but because they didn't really have a choice. Both of them worked until late afternoon, and my school bus dropped me off almost an hour before either of them got home. I hated being alone in that house. It was old. Not haunted, just old. The kind of house that creaked even when no one was walking, and made noises at night that always felt a little too deliberate. But I didn't tell my parents that. I didn't want to seem like a baby. One afternoon in early winter, I got home, locked the door like I was supposed to, and turned on the TV for noise. I remember being really tired that day. I laid down on the couch with a blanket and fell asleep without meaning to. The TV was still on. I don't know how long I slept, but when I woke up, the first thing I noticed was the silence. The TV was off. I didn't turn it off. The house felt wrong. Too still. Like everything was holding its breath. That I sat up slowly and noticed the hallway light was on. I never left it on. My parents always yelled at me if I did. That tight feeling started in my stomach. I called out, "Mom?" No answer. I told myself maybe I turned the TV off and forgot. Maybe I turned the light on. Kids forget things all the time. But then I saw something that made my heart drop. My bedroom door was open. I always closed it before lying down. And inside my room, my closet door was open too. I stood up slowly and walked toward my bedroom. Every step felt loud. The closer I got, the colder the air felt. My closet light was off, but I could see inside clearly enough. Shoes. Big shoes. Not mine. Not my parents'. They were muddy, sitting neatly side by side at the back of my closet. I stared at them, my mind refusing to understand what I was seeing. Then I smelled something. A sour, sweaty smell, like someone who hadn't showered in a long time. That's when I heard it. Breathing. Right behind me. It was slow breathing. Controlled. Like someone trying not to be heard. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Every part of my body felt frozen. Then the breathing stopped, and a voice whispered right near my ear. "You weren't supposed to wake up yet." I screamed. I ran out of the house barefoot, not even grabbing my jacket. I didn't stop until I reached my neighbor's porch. They opened the door when they saw me crying and shaking. The police were called. When they searched the house, they found fingerprints inside my closet. Adult fingerprints. They also found food wrappers stuffed behind my dresser. Someone had been inside my house for a while, living there. That night, my parents sat me down and told me something they had never mentioned before. The previous owners had reported things going missing. Food, clothes, shoes. They thought it was animals. It wasn't. We moved out 6 months later. But years after that, my dad admitted something he never told the police. When he checked the attic that day, the insulation was flattened, like someone had been sleeping up there, and taped to one of the wooden beams was a piece of paper with my name written on it. This happened when I was 8 years old, and for a long time I didn't talk about it. Not because I forgot, but because I was afraid someone would tell me I imagined it. My parents used to go out every Saturday night. Just dinner and a movie. They'd be gone for about 3 hours. They didn't leave me completely alone though. They told me to stay in my room, keep the door closed, and not wander around the house. At the time, that didn't feel strange. I was used to it. Our house wasn't big, but it felt big at night. Long hallway, high ceilings. Sounds traveled easily. Before they left, my mom checked my room, kissed me goodnight, and reminded me, "If you hear anything, don't open the door." I promised. I stayed in my room playing with toys and watching cartoons on low volume. The house slowly became quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet where you notice every little sound, the refrigerator humming, the ticking of a clock somewhere far away. Around an hour after my parents left, I heard footsteps. They weren't loud. They weren't heavy. They sounded like a child walking barefoot down the hallway. At first, I smiled. I thought my parents had come home early. I called out, "Mom?" No answer. The footsteps stopped outside my door. Then came a knock. 3 soft taps. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. No one ever knocked on my bedroom door like that. Then a voice spoke. A child's voice. "Can I come in?" My heart started beating fast. The voice sounded close to my age. Maybe a little younger. I didn't answer. The voice tried again. "I'm scared." I felt bad. I felt confused. I was an only child. There was no one else who should be in the house. I stayed quiet, remembering what my mom said. The doorknob didn't turn. The door didn't move. But the voice lowered, almost like it was whispering right through the crack under the door. "They told me not to talk to you." My stomach dropped. "Who told you?" I asked before I could stop myself. There was a pause. Then the voice said something that still makes my skin crawl. "The ones who live here now." The voice didn't speak again. Instead, I heard footsteps walking away from my door. Slow, barefoot. They moved down the hallway, then stopped. Then I heard another door open. My parents' bedroom. A few seconds later, something heavy fell on the floor. I crawled into my bed and pulled the blanket over my head, shaking. I stayed like that until I heard the front door open hours later. When my parents came home, I ran out of my room crying and told them everything. They searched the house. Nothing was out of place, but my dad noticed something strange. The guest room closet door was open. Inside, the carpet was indented, like someone had been sitting there for a long time. There were small handprints on the inside of the closet door, too small to be mine. That night, after I fell asleep, my parents talked quietly in the kitchen. Years later, my mom admitted what they discussed. Before we moved into that house, another family lived there. They had a son. He died in the house. An accident. And ever since, people complained about hearing a child walking the hallway at night. My parents never told me. because they didn't believe it either. Until that night. The creepiest part didn't happen that night. It happened a week later. I was brushing my teeth before bed when I noticed something written in the fog on the bathroom mirror. A small handprint, and words underneath it, written backward, so they could only be read from inside the mirror. It said, "Thank you for talking to me." We moved not long after. I never heard that voice again. But sometimes when I'm lying in bed late at night, I hear soft footsteps in the hallway. And I remember how scared that voice sounded. Like it wasn't trying to scare me. Like it was lonely, and still waiting for someone to open the door. Being home alone as a child should feel safe. But sometimes those memories follow you forever. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.